Hi, I think I'm live right now. Can I just get feedback on the chat to see whether you can hear me clearly? Let's see how many people we have here. Let's wait for a few minutes, right? Yeah, how are you doing? Why don't we start off with where you're joining in from? Like, I'm currently in Braunschweig in Germany. Where are you joining in from? Just write down the city. Yeah. See, around 60 people have joined in already. So let's just, oh, Jalandhar, Punjab, Vadodara, Gujarat. Yeah, Kerala. Oh, very close to me. I'm from Goa actually. Chennai. My dad's from Chennai. Delhi, Gurgaon, Jalandhar again, Hyderabad. Is it just the same person? No, it's a different person. Two people from Jalandhar. What a coincidence. That's good. Then we have Anurag from Hyderabad. Then we have Kolkata, Delhi again, Uttar Pradesh, Mumbai, Delhi again. A lot of people from Delhi and Hyderabad. Yeah, that's nice. Oh, someone's joining from Mauritius. That's that's amazing. If you're joining in from Mauritius right now. I hope you're not on vacation and but that's dedication. If you're on vacation and you're still joining in over here. Someone's joining from Bangladesh. Oh, welcome. Rajasthan, Mumbai, Delhi. Let's wait for a few more minutes. We have around 60 people live. We'll just wait for a few more minutes and see how it goes, yeah? We have a long session with us today, okay? Because there's a lot. You need to know who I am. You need to know what we are talking about with regards to the GRE, and there's a lot of things which you need to know, right? So we have a long session, so don't worry, we'll start. Someone's joining from Pyongyang, okay? Kashmir, someone's joining from Kashmir. That's amazing, dude. I've never been to Kashmir, but it's always been a dream to go there. Maybe we do the questions a bit later, okay? So we just start off just trying to get to know each other in the sense of a good introduction for ourselves. So maybe we keep the questions a bit later. I have something planned for you guys. There's a few things which I want to share. Express who I am, kind of talk about my journey to coming to Germany and all of that. And beyond that, we can go into what the GRE is, what we have in store for you. We have something special in store for you guys. And then after that, towards the end, we'll start taking in some questions, okay? Yeah, hi. I'll just give it one more minute for people to join in and then we can start. Someone's joining from Ludhiana. Okay. Okay, someone's asked a question, should they choose Magdeburg or Kassel? Now, I live in Braunschweig, which is close to both of them, but I do not know about the particular universities, right? So the way you go about this is you actually just look at the course and the university. But like I said, questions later on, okay? Don't, if you start asking questions, I may get up away from what the main topic is. So we keep the questions later, okay? So yeah, I think we are good to start, shall we? So let me jump in. Let me pull that up here. And what are we talking about here, right? We want to talk about the GRE. Why specifically we want to talk about the GRE? How is it something which is relevant to you? All this is what we're going to do over the next few minutes, okay? So as you can see, there's 4 branches going out from this main core, and I want to start off with talking about who I am, right? No one's this random person on the internet who's gone live. You want to know who I am, right? So let's talk about me. My name is Kowshik Srivatsan. You have probably seen me on the channel a bunch of times over the past couple of weeks, a past few weeks, in fact. And I'm just a regular, ordinary student. I'm a mechanical engineer by bachelor's profession. I did my mechanical engineering from Goa College of Engineering in Goa, right? And yeah, I graduated in the year 2018, right? So I worked for a few years after that. From 2018 till 2020, I worked. Then during the pandemic, I decided that, okay, maybe right now, the best thing for me to do is to start looking for what a master's could be. And that's when I started researching. I started shortlisting universities. I started learning German also, on the side. And I was just preparing my overall, preparation or documents and everything for the actual process of Germany. That is when I discovered that GRE is something which, if I did, will really help me out a lot. Okay. So this is my GRE timeline preparation. Okay. So in the year 2020, somewhere around June or July is when I actually started the GRE, right? And I prepared the GRE for 3 months, and somewhere in September is when I took the actual exam. Now, for those of you who do not know what the GRE is, it's a graduate record exam. It's only for people who want to apply for masters. Okay, so straight away, just remember that it's only for people who want to apply for masters level courses around the world. Okay, GRE is actually a US based exam, but it's more and more being accepted in a lot of other countries, including the UK, in Europe, as well as in some other countries around the world. Okay. So when I came across GRE, I also, like you, only had heard about it maybe from some seniors or some other family members, and I didn't know what it was. So it took me a couple of months in order to figure out how do I approach this exam. Okay. And trust me, it's not easy because there's too many resources everywhere, and it's just a fragmented stuff which it's very confusing if you want to approach the GRE in a way where you do not have any idea of how you want to reach out or how you want to prepare, and it's a mess. Okay. And that's why I spent 2 months in order to prepare a framework of how I wanted to study the GRE. Okay. And that's what I did. And then the next 3 months I spent taking all the preparation steps, and finally I gave the exam, and I'm really happy to say that I scored a 331 out of 340 on the GRE. Okay. How does this break down? Well, on the actual exam, there's different sections, right? So in GRE, there's a verbal reasoning section, which is mostly about your English language skills. And there's also a quantitative reasoning section, which is about your math skills. Each of these sections is scored on a scale of 130, which is the lowest score you can get in any of these sections, to 170. That's how you get to a total of 340, right? And as you can see, these are the scores which I got. I got 163 in the verbal reasoning and 168 in the quantitative reasoning. So the total comes to 331, which, if you are even remotely aware of the GRE, is a really high score. I don't say this because I want to brag about my score, but rather I want to say this because it is a result of the amount of preparation and the hours and hours of dedication that I had put in for those 3 months in order to write this exam. Okay. So finally, there's one last section of the GRE, which is the analytical writing, which is essentially about writing an essay. Okay. And in this, I also got a 5, and analytical writing is scored on a scale of 0 to 6, 6 being the highest which you can get in a particular essay. And I got a 5. At the same time, I was also giving an English language exam, which is the TOEFL, and I'm happy to say that I got 110 out of 120 in the TOEFL. This is something when you want to study an English Thought Master's program, especially in Germany, you would definitely need either the IELTS or the TOEFL. And I chose to take the TOEFL because during the pandemic, we were at home, and TOEFL and GRE both are being provided by ETS, and at that time, they were giving these exams as a home exam. Okay, so I could just take the exam from home. I didn't have to travel in the pandemic to a different city in order to take this exam. So I just took the option of giving both of these from home, and that's why I took the TOEFL. But you don't have to do either the TOEFL or the IELTS. You can just do one of them, right? You don't have to do both of them. So that was my general timeline for the GRE. In case you want a more in-depth explanation of what actually I did, then on the channel a few weeks ago, I had already put out a video of how I prepared for my GRE and how I scored a 331. You can just have a look at that. But don't worry, other resources also I'll link at the end, and you'll get a better idea of what my journey through the GRE was. Okay, so my GRE preparation was done. I had the TOEFL, I had German, I had prepared everything else. So the question was, when do I start applying, right? And for me, that application phase started somewhere around November or December of 2020. Imagine this. I wanted to come to Germany in the winter semester of 2021, but I had to start applying somewhere in November of 2020. So that's a long time to start applying and wait for results, right? And that's what I did. And trust me when I say this, the first 5 to 7 applications which I put across, I just got rejections. Straight up rejections, no explanations for why the rejection were there. And I was shocked, right? I thought I had a good profile. I thought I had a good GRE score. And I was shocked by the applications. But this is where you have to be really careful when you think about Germany. See, Germany is not only going on your grades, it's looking at your complete profile. It's looking at what is your German level knowledge. Okay, it's also looking at what are the subjects you studied. And I realized that the first few universities which I had applied to, well, they were not in line with what my bachelor's was, which is when I started to expand my application process, and I started to apply to more and more courses which were in the sphere of admissions or in the sphere of what my bachelor's was. And finally, I was able to secure 4 admits, right? And the biggest thing which was a help for me was joining the complete course for studying in Germany. In 2020 September is when I joined the course, and like seriously, the document review and stuff which was done by the person who was the alumni at that time was really helpful for me, because it helped me improve my statement of purpose, my CV and stuff like that, and it helped me get 4 admits. One of the admits was at TU Braunschweig. This is one of the TU 9s in Germany. For those who do not know, TU is like a technical university, and TU 9s are these prestigious 9 universities which are chosen to be some of the top ranked universities in Germany. Okay, and TU Braunschweig is one of them. Now, in general, if you want to know where Braunschweig is, let me just see if I can pull up a map here. Oh, I realized I went on mute. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? I think I made a mistake. I went on mute. Yeah. Uh-huh. I think, can someone just give feedback? Can you hear me? Yes. Yes. I think I should be audible right now. Okay. Sorry about that. Okay, going back to this. So, what I was trying to say was Braunschweig is close to Berlin, as you can see here. It's not that close to Berlin, but it's like in the same region as in Berlin. It's in the north of this. So, that's where I have been studying since 2021, October of 2021. And I'm happy to say that I have a German GPA of 1.3. Okay, in percentages, that's around 94. And I have a German GPA of 1.3, and I've finished 90 credits. Okay, so my course is a 120 credits course, and I've finished 90 credits. I'm just waiting to do my thesis, my master thesis, and just as a preview for you guys, my master thesis is in Porsche engineering. I'll be starting that in about 10 days in April 15th, and I hope to finish it by the end of this year. Apart from that, my course which I'm studying, which is computational sciences and engineering, also has a German language requirement. Okay, now if you recall, I told you that I already had started preparing for German, and it was really helpful for me to choose this particular university because they also needed German. And we have a requirement that by the time you finish your 3rd semester, you have to clear the DSH exam, which is the Deutsche Sprachprüfung für Hochschulzugang, or the German language exam for the universities. And you have to have a DSH 1 in it, which is 3 levels you get: DSH 1, DSH 2, and DSH 3. And I got a DSH 3, which is roughly a bit between a B2 and a C1 level. So again, having German is really helpful. So if you have not yet started studying German, I really urge you to start studying German, because it adds in your profile. See, yes, the GRE is something which will help your profile. Your grades will help your profile. But you cannot change the grades which you already got in your bachelor's, right? If you finished studying a year ago, if you finished studying 2 years ago, you cannot change the grades. The only thing which you can control is adding something additional to a profile. And for you right now, that would be learning German and doing something like the GRE. Okay. So every time any student who writes to me or writes to the academy email, we always tell them learn German as much as you can. And believe me, it's not easy to do that when you are coming here, because you have so many other things to worry about. It's better to do it when you're in India, because you only have to focus on learning German. Whereas if you're here, you're focused on studying for your masters, you're focused on, finding part-time jobs, and there's a lot of different things you're focused on. So always advise students to learn German as much as they can back in India. Okay. So this is my general story, as you can see. I hope this was, you were able to get a good preview of me. Why don't we do a short 2 to 5 minute question round on anyone who has any doubts about me, any questions you want to ask about me? Just 2 minutes round we can do and kind of move on for that. Let's get some feedback on it, guys. Are you live on chat? Can you see? Let's see what's there on chat. Yeah. How much time does it turn to take A1? Okay, a lot of these questions depend on how much time you're able to afford. But let's say generally you can do it within a month. Okay, it shouldn't take any longer than that. Okay. Someone's asking, where do you learn German? Why don't you take a look at the free German framework which you have on the website? Okay, the faster German framework which you have, it will help you get an idea of where you can start learning, right? Someone had asked a question previously of whether technical or research universities better in terms of difficulty and learning. There's nothing called as better or worse. It's just what suits you better, okay? If you want to go into the research field and you want to do a PhD, technical universities are generally better for that than applied science universities, okay? I think you mean to say applied science universities rather than research universities. What's my thesis about? Kannan is asking, what's my thesis about? Well, okay, here's a preview of what my thesis is about. I'm doing machine learning in electrical drive development. So EVs or electric vehicles, drive development, there's EV drives which are there, and then I'm doing machine learning in it. The exact nature of the thesis is something which I still have to figure out once I start doing it, but yeah. How was my experience during my application? What was my work experience? Okay. Oh, how important is work experience? I'm all over the place with this. Work experience matters only for universities which ask for it. Beyond that, it does help the profile, but it is not the most important one. Okay, because I see a lot of students who don't have work experience who start getting admits in the same universities which I have done. Okay. Up to 3-year bachelor's. Completed 3-year bachelor's can apply for master's program. Yes, you can. It's just that the number of universities you can apply for is limited. So make sure you do your research and figure out which universities will, kind of, how do I say it? Which universities will kind of accept a 3-year degree. The question they have asked is, how could a 84%, what is that? Someone had asked a question. Yeah. How could a 84% in BTech turn into German GPA of 1.3? I think you're confusing it. What I was saying, I got an 84 in my bachelor's. My 1.3 in German is during my master's. Okay, it's not. This is the German GPA which I have right now in my master's. Remember that I've been doing my master's since 2021. Okay, I've finished 90 credits. What is the medium of instruction in my master's? It's actually a dual language program, but the courses which I did were mostly in English. But there are better courses. If I had the courage to do them in German, then there were better choice of subjects which I could have done. But yeah, the time when I was doing it, I didn't have the courage to do it in German, so I just ended up doing all my courses in English. Okay, I think that's enough for now. Let's stop with the questions. Let's move on now to the second prong. Okay, we are back over here. We move on to the second prong. I'll just give some people time to catch up with this. Are we good to go? Shall we move on to the second one? I really work on feedback, so the chat is always open for me on this side of the screen, so you can always just type out anything. Okay, like I said, more questions we'll hold on to the end of it. Okay, this question right now was just about if you want to know more about me. That's all I wanted to give you time for. We'll have time at the end for more questions. Okay, so shall we move on? Give me feedback. Yeah. Okay, I think we can move on. Yeah. Okay, so why do we now talk about the GRE, right? Let's look at this. A number of universities in Germany have started asking for the GRE. Why do you think that could be, right? This seems odd, right? GRE is an exam which is very US centric, and German universities are starting to ask for GRE. This kind of seems very odd for it, right? Why do you think that is? Well, let's look at it. Of course, we have a reason for why that is, and let's look at it. This is the official number of students which we can see from the DART website, and look at the number of students which are there. In 2018, we had 20,800 students from India. Okay, in the 5 years, which is till 2023, the number of students has gone up to 43,000. Look at that. It's more than 100% increase, right? It's more than doubling, right? It's more than doubled it. That's a lot of students, right? Can you think of the Can you think of the impact of that? That's a lot of students. You take the number of students who were there in 2018, you're literally adding an entire second set of the same number of students. This is a lot. And if so many students are increasing, right? Do you think it's only the Indian students who are increasing? No. Look at this graph. In 2011, okay, we have a chart in 2011 of the number of students who are moving to Germany from different countries. Look at this in China. The Chinese students were the highest, okay? Chinese students were somewhere between 23,000 or 25,000. Then we had Russian students, then Bulgarian. Look where India was in 2011. India was just under 5,000 students. In 2011, we had only 5,000 students come from India to Germany. Look at that same number in 2022, 2023. Look at the number of students. Indian students has gone up to 42,000. Can you imagine that? From 5,000, we have gone up to 42,000. That's a 8 times increase, right? Can you think of how crazy that is? The number of Chinese students has also gone up. The number of Syrian students has gone up. Austrian students, Turkish students. The number of students in general coming into Germany has gone up like crazy, right? And it's not something which is going to stop anytime soon, right? As you see this video, we already have 100 people watching this, right? And in general, so many thousands of people are watching the videos on our channel. And you can see that so many people are still interested in joining and coming into Germany, right? Which means the number of students coming into Germany is not going to decrease at all. So the competition is increasing like crazy, right? The number of Indian students is the largest right now. Of all the international students who are in Germany, Indians form the largest number of students, okay? And it has grown a lot. You can see where we are. Look at that spike. Right around the pandemic is when we had the spike, and it's crazy. It's just increasing a lot. This number is not only restricted to the number of students who are coming to Germany. This is also the number of students who are taking the GRE. Look at it. Can you imagine this crazy graphic which I found, okay? The GRE is a US based exam, okay? And for the first time in 80 years, there are more Indians taking the GRE than there are people from the US. Just think how crazy that is. There's over 113,000 people taking the GRE and only around 97,000 US students taking the GRE. Can you imagine that? There are more Indian students taking the GRE than the US, even though the GRE is a US centric exam. Which means what? Right? Which means that the average score which you start to score in Germany has also increased, right? Which you start to get in GRE has also increased. 11 years ago, it was 151 in the math section, which is the quantitative section. Right now, it has gone up to 157, which means the competition has increased. The number of students taking the exam has increased, which means the average also has increased. The same thing with the verbal, although increase is not that high because mostly in STEM courses, math is more valued, but the increase is still there, right? As you can see, it has increased a lot, which means what? So the gist of this story which we have is the number of students coming to Germany has increased a lot. The number of Indian students has increased a lot. And you're not only competing with Indian students, you're competing with Chinese, Austrian, Turkish, Syrian, a lot of other students, right? And the number of Indian students taking GRE and the overall number of students taking the GRE has also increased, which means the competition for GRE has increased a lot. What does this all mean? Well, this is where we come into the third prong. Who are you? You are a student, right? You are a student right now, and you have an aspiration that you want to study in Germany, right? You will obviously look at what courses you can study. You will obviously look at what universities you can study in. And a lot of students will have the aspiration that they want to study in some of the best ranked universities, right? But what is happening right now? Well, what we can see is, again, like I said, this graph back up, the number of students is increasing, right? If the number of students is increasing, think about this. 10 years ago, right, the number of courses which you had and the number of seats which are there in these courses was the same, right? And the number of students was less. Right now, the number of students has gone up like crazy, but the number of seats still remains the same, right? Where are you going to fit in more students? If the number of opportunities which are available is still going to be the same, you're picking from a large more variety of students. Where are you going to fit these students? How are you going to select these students? This means that you have more number of applications for the same number of seats or the same number of courses, which means you have more competition, right? When you have more competition, what do universities start to do? Universities will become more strict with the way they select students, right? Their admission requirements will become more strict. They will start to do German language requirement. They will start to have higher percentage requirement. They'll have more credit requirements, and they also start to have GRE requirements. Here I have listed a few of the top ranked universities, right? If you want to study in top ranked universities, for example, in TU Munich, they have made GRE or GATE as one of the compulsory one exams which you have to take, right? So it's not only in TU Munich. TU Munich is the top university. Let's look at RWTH Aachen. GRE is a strong recommendation, if not a compulsory recommendation for a lot of the courses which you want to apply for at RWTH Aachen. And if you know anything about RWTH Aachen, it's one of the best universities in Germany, or the top ranked universities in Germany, okay, in terms of the amount of research that you can do here. Well, it's not only RWTH Aachen, it's also LMU. LMU also asks for GRE. And especially look at this. If they are saying that you have a university degree which is not from the European Union, that means technically we are Indians who are not from the European Union, right? If we are doing this, then we definitely need to take the GRE. Well, it's not only LMU, it's not only 3 universities. Let's look at University of Paderborn. I remember some student had written about University of Paderborn, right? Well, University of Paderborn also has GRE requirements. Look at this. International students from non-EU countries need to show a proof of GRE revised general test results. You need a 157 in the quant and a minimum of 4 in analytical writing. So you see that. You also need GRE for University of Paderborn. It doesn't stop there. We have TU Dortmund. TU Dortmund also has made GRE, if not required, but at least a very strong recommendation. And trust me, when they say something is a strong recommendation, it means it can play a big role in your actual result, okay? University of Augsburg, they also made GRE as a very strong recommendation. See, students need to understand this, that there are a lot of people applying for these universities, right? You need some way to filter out students. German language requirement is one way that universities filter out students, but more and more universities have also started asking GRE as one of the ways to filter out this, right? So there's so many things that you have to take care of right now, and unfortunately or fortunately, GRE has also become one of them where you have to be careful to select it. Now, let's be careful about this. Not every university asks for GRE, okay? Put that in your mind. Not every university asks for GRE. Firstly, GRE is only for students who want to apply for masters, and some of the best ranked universities ask for GRE, but not every university and not every course in every university asks for GRE. So always do your research. Always make sure that you shortlist universities, look through the admission requirements, and figure out whether you need the GRE. But beyond that, I am saying that GRE has become a very deciding factor in setting aside your profile and boosting your chances of getting an admit. Okay? So a good GRE score can definitely help. It helps more today than it did 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. The time when Bharat came in 2016, right? When he came in, GRE was not that big of a requirement. In fact, a lot of universities were not even asking for German requirement, okay? If you're applying for an English Star program, a lot of universities were just giving admits based on your bachelor's profile, okay? But beyond that, now in 5 years later, 6 years later, German has surpassed it, and even GRE has become a requirement, because students right now, they feel desperate when they want to come out of India or any other country. They want to come to Germany. They feel desperate. So they are ready to do anything, which means even if you put a B1 or a B2 level of German requirement, even for an English thought program, they are ready to do it, right? Which means you have to keep adding requirements, which is what the German university is doing, which means that a good GRE score can definitely help set your profile, okay? Now, this is where we come to what we have in store for you guys today, okay? But before we jump in, again, I'd like to take a quick survey of the chat. How are you going? You have any doubts which are related to what I've shown till now? Any general doubts, don't worry. There are people in the chat who are taking care of it. And at the end of the live stream also, I'll spend some time sitting and reading through this. But in general, do you have any doubts of what I've shown, what we have talked about till now? Right? There's 120 people. Let's see what we have. Come on, out with the questions. Okay, let's see. You're unable to book GRE physics or math test dates not visible. This is something you'll have to figure out with ETS. Maybe the city you're in right now doesn't offer that, right? Maybe try going to a different city, right? You're making a right decision of pursuing. Okay, let's take the GRE question. Is GRE score of 315 good with 163 in quant for Germany? We cannot say it in general. generally 315 is a good score and 163 is also a good score, but you have to look at it from specifically the point of view of the university you're applying for. Let me take an example. um, for let's say RWTH Aachen, I think 163 may be just on the border of not being a good score. I remember from my time that maybe 165 was the cutoff which they were asking. Okay, so you cannot give a create a broad, what do you call it? Yeah, can give a broad scope idea of whether it's a good score. Yes, I will say 315 is a good score, but it really depends on the section score and the requirement which they particularly ask. Okay. I just see you ask the same question again. Anyone else? Anyone else has any question of what we have done till now? Mm-hmm. Come on, don't be shy. You can always ask questions. That's how you can learn more. And I'm not here to do anything else other than kind of get a vibe and get an idea of what you're doing. How many students applying and how much seats are there in masters? Well, we do not know that number in total, right? We know how many students are studying. Can you see that we have around 43,000 Indian students studying across all different masters, bachelors, across all fields, right? You have to imagine that at least 2x more students have applied for these courses. Only 42,000 have gotten admits. You have to think that at least 2 times that have applied to these courses, right? So you have to think about that. Can I pursue MS in Germany without GRE in public university? I have to. Yes. See, like I said, GRE is not compulsory for every university, but a lot more top-ranked university have started to ask for GRE, or at least are recommending GRE. That's what I'm trying to say here. Okay. Uh, is GRE really necessary? It depends on the university you want to apply for. If you want to study in RWTH Aachen, a lot of courses will definitely ask for it. If you want to study in TU Munich, they ask for GRE and or GATE. Okay. TU Dortmund asks for it. University Padmore. There's more universities which I have not listed here, which do tend to ask for GRE. Okay, and it definitely does help to apply to kind of how do I say it, to improve your profile or boost your chances. You did not. Someone has asked. So Hashwant is asking. I did not write GRE but applied for masters in a few universities. Will this affect my application since I've not gotten my results yet? Not necessarily. See, if the university was not asking for the GRE in the first place, then you're good to go with it, right? Where I'm more talking about universities which are asking for GRE. And just imagine this. 5 years ago, most of these universities were not asking for GRE. It has increased in the 5 years, which means I'm preparing you for the future also. Maybe some students here will apply this year, but there are some students who want to apply a year from now or 2 years from now. You never know that GRE may have become more of a requirement in many more universities. That is what I'm trying to say, right? Slightly offbeat question someone has asked. Nidhi is asking, will German language is mandatory to secure a good job? Well, not necessarily. You can get a few jobs which do not require German language, but trust me, if you have German language and you want to get into these traditional OEMs, right, this original equipment manufacturers, German language will easily get you through the door. If you know German, you can rise through the ranks also very easily, right? Now Dhanush is asking GATE versus GRE, which is easy. These are two completely different exams. Okay, and as a preview, I had also tried to prepare for the GATE, but GATE is just too much content. Okay, so I wouldn't suggest that GATE and GRE is a fair comparison. It's a completely different. GRE is more from high school level mathematics and English. GATE is from graduate level exams, right? It's basically all the things which are studied in a bachelor's. What is the average quant or overall GRE score in most public universities? Well, let's say overall score is not something which I generally tend to see, but quant scores is definitely, I would say, at least 157. I can see here, right? 157 is what University of Paderborn is asking. It really changes from university to university. It's not one specific thing, but yeah, of course, the higher the better, right? Can assume that GRE could improve the chances of securing a seat and getting a visa. Not about the visa. The visa is not dependent on the GRE or anything like that. The visa is more dependent on if you have no holes in your application and you have a good admit also. Okay, that means you have an admit, right? And your documents are in order. That's what helps you get a visa. Beyond that, securing a seat, well, that depends on the university. If the university is recommending it, then definitely having the GRE score will help you a lot. Okay, in some universities they also have the option of adding additional documents which will help boost your profile. In that case, again, adding the GRE will definitely help, right? GRE would help get in admission in easy. It's not necessarily about it being easy, but rather that you have more options, right? Let's say you want to apply for TU Dortmund, but TU Dortmund or let's say RWTH Aachen, right? And RWTH Aachen is saying GRE is something which you need. Well, in that case, if you cannot apply for RWTH Aachen if you don't have GRE, right? But if you have it, then definitely you can. I think we are out of GRE questions for now. So let's move on to what we have right now. Okay. Is AWS score of 3 a good score? I would say no. In my personal opinion, anything above a 4 is a better score. 3 is just around like the bare minimum which you need. Okay. So I would say anything, some universities do accept a 3, but I would say 4 or higher is better. Okay. Let's move on to what we have in store for you guys. Now, a few weeks ago, I'll say a few months ago right now, Bharat reached out to me and said, hey Kowshik, you took the GRE. It seems that you are well prepared for the GRE. You got a good score. Did you use any method? Did you prepare a framework for the GRE? And is it something where you can share with students? And I was like, okay, I did do the GRE, but it was 3 years ago. Let me see if I remember it. And after some digging, I realized that I'm such a meticulous person that I had notes for everything. Right? I had written like a 9,000 word article about my entire experience about the GRE, and I realized that I had detailed everything. So then I told Bharat, yes, I have something, and he said, okay, why don't you make a course for our students, right? We at Big Academy always try to bring as much as we can to students in order to make their application process very easy. So Bharat said, why don't you think about making a course? Now I'm thinking, wait, I am here to study a master's. How am I going to go about making a course, right? But this is where taking chances and saying yes to new opportunities pays off, right? Because I realized that through the course of doing this, building up this course, and yes, this is what I'm here to talk about, is that we have a new course, and I realized that I understood the GRE much better. I was able to express myself much better. 6 months ago, I wouldn't have been able to do this live stream. Okay, I wouldn't have been so open about it. So, like I said, sometimes saying yes to new things helps. So, what do we have in store for you guys? We have a new course for you guys. Okay, what I have done is over the course of a few months, taken everything which I have done for preparing for the GRE and put it in one course, right? And that is the GRE strategy framework course which we have built. It's a complete course right now. A few weeks ago, we had released part 1 of the course. Right now, we have the complete course ready for you guys. Okay. So how is the course built? Well, I know that it's definitely going to be a very complex course, and that's why I didn't want to build it in one step. I have made this course in 4 different parts. Okay. And what we have done for you guys is, because again, you do not know, I'm an unknown quantity, right? You do not know me that well. However much I've told you about my profile, you do not know me that well. That is why we have a free demo for you guys. Part 1, it's live. It's already been live for a few weeks now. About 800,000 students have already joined in. You can easily join in to the free course. The link is always in the description, and you can understand what the GRE is, what you are going to expect in the rest of the parts. Okay, so let's talk about how the rest of the course is built out. Part 2, Part 3, and Part 4 each focuses on one particular section of the GRE. Like I said, the GRE is built of 3 sections, right? You have the quantitative reasoning, which is the maths, the verbal reasoning, which is from the English language, and analytical writing, which is more about essay writing. Well, each of these sections is going to deal with particular aspects of it. So we'll start with Part 2. In fact, let's go back and let's talk about the free demo for a second. So let me just give you a preview of what the free demo looks like. Again, this is something which is already live right now. You can get this for free. It's completely a free demo. So I would urge you to just go sign up, see what the GRE is, see if this is something which is interest to you, and you like the way I teach. Okay. So go through this page. This is the page. You can read through again my preview, my credentials. You can look at my GRE score, my TOEFL score. Ignore the image. I look very weird there because it was a pandemic. I was at home. I wasn't thinking about my looks and all, right? You can look at my master's transcript. You can see the number of credits which I've done. You can see the grade which I have right now. Like I said, I have been with Big Academy for a long time. I was first a student of the Big Academy. Then I have been an alumni contributor for almost 3 years right now. And that means basically I answer students' questions on our Facebook group. We have the complete course for studying in Germany, and I take questions on that also. So there's a lot of stuff which we do over there, right? I have explained what you can expect in this course, right? You have proven techniques. I have already done this process of building out this framework, building out my strategies, and it has worked definitely, right? Because I got a 331 following these techniques. So I have included all of these techniques, and I've also shown you how they work. I've given you comprehensive resources, and I'm essentially encouraging you to kind of get a hold of your own skills, your own talents which you have, which are just hidden probably, and bring them out when you want to apply for or when you want to attempt the GRE. So this is what you have in the free course. There's a very small lessons, a few 1 hour or 1.5 hours. You can just go through. I've explained what the GRE is, what your first step should be. I've explained my timeline and everything, and you can just go through that. So that is what you have in part 1. We move on to part 2. Like I said, each part is built on specific sections of the GRE, and in part 2 we are focusing on analytical writing. We have over 8 hours worth of content, okay, and 15 sample essays. If you go through the GRE, you will realize that earlier version of the GRE, you had to write 2 different essays. There's one called an argument essay and the other called an issue essay. Right now you only have to write one type of essay, which is why we have 15 essay samples which I've done. So again, let me preview the course. So as you can see, again, it's a very well structured, built out course. I shouldn't say this about my own course, but I took a lot of time taking care of specific modules and kind of helping you out in the way that worked best for me. Okay, so as you can see, there's a lot of essays which I've written. There's time management which I've given. I have wrapped everything up with study plans. And let's for example take a random video here, right? So this is, let me make sure that I'm muted. So as you can see, like through the course of the video, you'll see me talk about essays. I'll break down essays. I'll talk about what makes an essay a good essay, what makes an essay a bad essay, right? And there are other modules where we actually start writing essays, right? We actually start writing essays in this. We have particular prompts that we'll use. Let me show you a couple of essays maybe. Okay, yeah, I guess this is a bit locked. Let's see if I can view it as an admin. Yes, this I can view as an admin. So there's live essays which I write in this course. So a lot of this analytical writing section, it's built on the idea that you are able to kind of understand how I approach the analytical writing section and how you can kind of approach it in the same way and build out these essays in order to get a high scoring essay. Like I said, many universities don't ask for the analytical writing to be very high. A 4 or a 3 can kind of always be accepted, but I would always say a higher score is better because it helps boost your profile a lot. So I would urge you to get at least a 4 or higher, and I think with these techniques you'll definitely get to a 5. Okay, it's definitely possible. That is what we have in the analytical writing section. Let's move on to part 3, and part 3 is focusing on the verbal reasoning. Verbal reasoning in GRE is mostly focused on the English language skills which you have. You don't have to study something new, rather you just have to revise a lot of vocabulary and use a lot of techniques in order to approach different question types. And what we have in part 3 for you is over 16 hours of content. Yes, I had a lot of sore throats when I was recording 16 hours worth of content, and we have solved over 200 questions. So let me just quickly jump over and show you what we have in the verbal reasoning section. Again, the verbal reasoning section is again built out very comprehensively, I must say. We kind of break down what the verbal reasoning section is. We kind of try to understand what are the different expectations, how the scoring works. We then talk about the most important module, which is like vocabulary, right? If you want to do vocabulary, if you want to do well in the verbal reasoning section, you need to know a lot of vocabulary. So I have done a lot of research and I've given you multiple methods in the way you can go about learning vocabulary. See, that's what I trying to do, which is different from what traditional institutions do. See, traditional institutions, what they do is they have one set method. You start from A, you go to B, you go to C, you go to D, and that's how you have to study for the GRE. I don't think that works for me, and I would say that doesn't work for a lot of students who are in the chat right now or who are applying, right? And the idea then is you have to give custom methods, you have to give alternate methods. And the best way to do that is to give you different options and give you reasoning for why these options work best. That's what I've done here. I've given you 3 different methods where you can learn vocabulary, and that kind of helps you to build your own way to do it, right? Then we have a lot of techniques for how you want to approach these questions. There are different question types which are there in the GRE, verbal reasoning, and there are different techniques which you need. And that's what I've done. These are some techniques which I developed on my own, some other techniques which I picked up from the internet, and I collated it together for you guys. Okay. And of course, then we start solving a lot of these questions. We have text completion, sentence equivalence, reading comprehension. There's a lot of questions which are solved, right? And each of these, as you can see, these are like 70-minute sessions, 69-minute sessions, 68-minute sessions. I'm solving hundreds of questions, right? And that's what we have in store for you in the verbal reasoning section. Over 200 questions solved, right? And more will be added. Trust me, the way I've built out the course, I'm going to be updating the course regularly by adding more and more questions, more and more practice questions, more and more solved questions also, right? And finally, we move on to part 4, which is the quantitative reasoning. Quantitative reasoning focuses a lot on high school level mathematics. And here also we have over 13 hours of content and over 100 questions solved for you guys. Okay. So again, let me preview it. Quantitative reasoning is again built out. It starts off the same way. You kind of try to understand what the quantitative reasoning section is, how the scoring works, what are the different question types. Then we talk about what are the different concepts of maths which are needed, and then we break down each of these, right? We review all of these concepts of maths which are needed for, these are all high school level maths, okay? You don't have to worry about it. It's not something new. We are not learning these maths. I'm not teaching you maths. I'm no expert in mathematics. Rather, I'm just reviewing these concepts which are needed specifically from the GRE's perspective. Then we solve a lot of questions. Every module is solving questions, okay? We are never going to shy away from questions. Just to give you a preview, I ended up solving 2,500 to 3,000 questions when I had prepared, okay? So imagine how many questions you would have to solve in order to get really good at it, because timing is important, and so also is getting the questions right. That's very important, right? So this is what I have in store for you guys. What is the advantage you can ask of maybe going with my course, or kind of going with an online course? Well, first, these techniques are proven, right? I have shown you how my techniques have gotten me to a 331. And even in the free demo, you would see how I'm talking about where I started from before I used these techniques. And once I actually applied the framework and the techniques, how my score actually improved and I ended up getting a 331. So like I said, if you have a doubt about it, go to the free demo. It kind of gives you an idea of it. After that, when you do an online course, you are not forced to start and stop at the same time. You can take up the course and do it anytime you want, okay? You can start the course today, you can start the course tomorrow, you can start the course a year from now, and you can finish it anytime you want, because you have lifetime access for this course, right? You don't have to do it at my pace, you can do it at your own pace. After that, what are the advantages you have? Well, you have the entire course available for you. That means you can start and end anytime you want. You can start in the first module, you can jump to the third module, you can come back to the second module. You have complete flexibility. And like I said, you have complete access. You don't have to travel to a particular place. You don't have to go to a city, go to a different institute and study there. And at their times, you can do it anytime you want. You can do it in your comfort of your room. You can do it on the train. You can do it on the bus. You can do it sitting at a cafe. You can do it anywhere you want. These courses are built in such a way where you have flexibility to do it just with the videos and maybe with a pen or a notebook and such like that. Okay. So these are the advantages which I would say. Again, every idea, I would say you have to test it out, right? And the best way I would suggest for you guys to test it out is to go through the free demo which we have. The free demo kind of gives a glimpse of what the question is going to be, and it's going to give you an idea of how the course is structured and what my teaching style is. So what I would suggest is, even if you're thinking about whether this is the right call for you, just sign up for the free demo. Free demo is anyway free. You can always sign up with the link in the description, and it'll give you a good idea. You can just go through it. It's just 1 hour, 1.5 hours, not much more than that. Even if you don't know what the GRE is, I've made sure to explain what the GRE is. So I would urge you to sign up and try to get an understanding of what the course is and who I am and why you should trust me for that matter, okay? Because you need some proof to trust a random person on the internet, right? So that was my pitch. This is what we have in store for you guys. We have put in a lot of effort. To give you a context, I started building out this course somewhere at the end of last year in 2023, and right now we are in 2024, right? April 2024. It has taken a long time to build this course because I didn't want to haphazardly put out any course. I wanted to make sure that it's a course which I myself would go through and buy, and that's why I took a lot of effort in building out this course in the best way possible, okay? That's what I have in store for you guys. Let's see if you have any questions, and let's move on to that. Let's see. My QC section is going good, but I'm struggling to get good score in verbal section. Will it be difficult for me to get admit? Well, again, it depends on what particular universities you're applying for, right? Some universities require a high high verbal score, in that case, if you're not able to meet the minimum requirement, then definitely you will have some problems. And again, like I said, this is why I realized that a lot of students focus only on the quant section. They don't focus on the verbal section, which is why I did not do that mistake. I built out the framework in such a way that you can do this. You can do this in such a way that where a verbal section score will also increase. Okay. What is, how many times can you write the GRE? Well, you can write the GRE 5 times in a year. Okay. And yeah, let me just make sure I'm saying the right things here, because there are so many other numbers which you have. Give me a second. Let me get it out. Let me bring it up here. There's a thing here. Yes, you can take the GRE for 5 times in a year, and each score is valid for up to 5 years. Okay, I just had to make sure I'm getting my facts right, because we don't want to make a mistake on the internet, right? What is going to be the price of it? Well, you are lucky because we are just starting out this course. We have a 20% discount running on it. You can click the link in the description and you can go up to it. And if you buy the bundle, it's much cheaper. That's why we have a 20% discount for, especially for you guys. Okay, so I would suggest you to please click the link in the description and just look at the landing page, right? I'm planning to go to Germany in 2025, pursuing masters in clinical psychology. So do I need GRE dedicated to psychology or GRE in general? This is again a question which I would suggest you approach it from a different way. Okay, start shortlisting universities. Universities will have requirements page of what they need for you to have an admit. Go through that requirement, and in that they will mention specifically what you need. Okay, I would suggest in your case that's the best way to go about it. Okay. Let's see if you have some more questions about finishing up about the GRE, and then we move on to general questions. Let's talk about the GRE first. Like, if you have any other questions about the GRE, let's talk about that. Let's see what other questions we have here. Don't feel shy, okay? Always write out any questions. No one is judging it here. There's no wrong questions, okay? There's only wrong answers which you can give. There's no wrong questions. So always feel free to completely ask the question in any way we want. Let me wait till that time. Let's see what else we can do. Is there anything which I have left off to show you guys? Let's see. Yeah. Again, I'm here online. You can ask any question. If you don't have questions about the GRE, again, I'll just close up by saying that the link is in the description. Okay, there's a question. Is the GRE course enough for my preparation, or would you suggest books to buy along with it? That is personal dependent. Okay, I would suggest that the course itself I will build out in such a way, I have built out in such a way where it should be enough for you to practice. But if you want to practice more questions, obviously books are the way to go about it. So I will never stop you from doing that. Okay, I myself felt that more resources the better for me when I was preparing. Like I said, I did 2,500 to 3,000 questions, and you cannot do that from one book. You have to do it from multiple books. So that's what I did. Does GRE mandatory for masters in CS related subjects? Again, a very general question. There's no straight answer to it. It depends on the university. Overall, there is no mandatory requirement. Specific universities in specific courses have the requirements, okay? If colleges are not asking for GRE like Hochschule, is there is any point on focusing on GRE? Well, you're not focusing on anything particularly, right? You just have to make sure first when you shortlist universities, are there any universities in your shortlisted list which are either asking for the GRE or making it mandatory, or at least recommending it strongly? In that case, you focus on the GRE. Else, if there is no requirement, then you don't have to focus on the GRE. Okay? Most universities have closed their process for winter, so would I be able to plan right for the summer? Not necessarily most universities have closed for winter. A lot of applications have opened in April and they'll go on till May also. Okay? So I would suggest you can still do that. Hey Rishi, good morning. Yeah, it is definitely a very good morning. Let me see if I can show you the sky outside. It's very blue. It's very sunny. It's quite good, right? So it's definitely a good morning. Yeah. What's the current timeline for APS? I would think somewhere around a few weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, if I'm not wrong. In some cases, it does tend to go above. So yeah. Steps after getting offer from uni. Well, you have to go through the process of enrollment, and you have to go through your financial process and finally the visa. Okay. And of course, look for accommodation and stuff like that. After which semester should I start applying? I'm not sure what that question means. It really depends on where you are. I would say you can apply in the final year. Not every university accepts that. But if you have anyway finished studying, then you can just apply at the end, right? I want to study in Germany and want to pursue MBA in finance and get a job there. Which university is best? See, again, this is a very general question. There's no best university. It's where you get an admit and what works best for you, right? And GRE versus GMAT, this is a good question. What I will do is, let me see if I can pull that video up. Give me a time. Luckily for you guys, we have thought about these questions, okay? We know that a lot of students will have the questions of which is better. Is GRE better or GMAT better? And luckily for you guys, we already did a video about that. Okay, let me pull that up. Yes, okay, we have that here. Let's see if I can switch over. So if you go onto the page, a couple of months ago, we did a video, GRE versus GMAT, which is a better exam. So I would suggest that you can kind of go to that video and have a look, okay? So that was a question from whom? That was a question from Shilpi. Yeah, so I hope that you got that. Is GRE mandatory for MS in CS in US University of Freiburg? Actually, I have seen people giving GRE for this university, but university does not have criteria for GRE. Well, if university has at least a strong recommendation, then you can give it the GRE. But generally, I would suggest looking at the requirements page is the best way to go about it, okay? My brother has completed his master's in Germany and is currently working in Germany for past 1 year. Can he sponsor me as I'll not be going for blocked account, or should he be a PR holder? This is a very general question. I think we can kind of restrict ourselves to more questions about the GRE for now. What level of German should I learn for bachelor's? I think depends on if you're going for a German thought program or not, right? Finding part-time jobs very hard. It depends on the city. In my city, it's not that difficult. I have found a HEV every time I wanted to do it, and my friends have found a part-time job outside the university every time they have done it. So it depends on the city a lot. After coming from a diploma and background, okay, shortlist universities can best. Okay, someone has a question about IELTS. Okay. Can I apply in May or June in public university because I'm preparing for IELTS? You don't need to prepare for IELTS that much, right? IELTS is just a test of your current language skills. You just need to understand how the exam works and prepare for it from the point of view of the exam. Beyond that, you don't have to do much about it, okay? What's the difference between doing any master's course in German language and English language? Like, is the language only difference or syllabus? Syllabus is not different. You're going to cover the same topic. Language is the main difference. And also the way you're able to interact with the professors. Professors are inherently German, right? So they will obviously speak in German, and it's much easier to converse with them in German, right? Going for English program by learning German for making profile stronger. Yes, Ovesh, that's a good idea. Even if you're going for English top programs, always do this German as much as you can. Okay. Can you give GRE after APS? Will this cause any verification issues? I don't think it should cause any verification issues because GRE is not mandatory in every place. So if it's a recommended thing, you don't need to do that. And mostly GRE scores are sent online directly from the test taker, so it shouldn't be a big problem. I got a question. Doc is missing. Can I submit the time registration? When actually I need to submit A1 certificate when I reach there, or okay, this depends on the university. If the university is saying that your admission is conditional on the German, you have to submit it now. Else you just write to the university. Always write to the university and ask these questions. They will definitely be willing to answer. Okay. Which cities are better according to you in terms of culture and making friends? Not a question which is easily answered. It depends on how easy you are as a person, right? How easygoing you are as a person. If you're someone who's very social, you can make friends in the smallest of the village also. But if you're someone who's very introverted, you will never make friends even in the biggest city. So it really depends on the person. And culture, every city is different culture. It depends on what suits you better. There's nothing called as better or worse. Okay. I've done my BE CSE in 2006. Oh my God, a lot of work experience. 17 years of work experience, plan to apply for Masters University of Applied Sciences. Is this the right path? Is it the right path? It's a big life decision. I don't think I can make the decision for you. What I would suggest is, think about why. I would say from a perspective which I have, think about why you want to do it right now. Is this the best option for you right now? Are there better options if coming to Germany is the option for you or the path for you? Is there a better option to come or not? That's what I would suggest. I wouldn't say you should decide this based on what other people say, but rather question yourself on why are you making this decision now? Because 2006 is what, 17 years ago, right? 17, 18 years ago. So if you want to do a master's right now, it's not, no one is going to stop you from doing it. The question is this the right call for you? I'm assuming you probably would have a family also, so you have to think a lot of these things. So I would suggest think about it that. Ask the ground question, is this the right thing for you? Which city are you in Germany right now? I'm in Braunschweig. Let me again pull up the map. Okay, let me. Yes, you can see this, right? So we are. Let's locate where we are. This is Berlin, as you can see, and Braunschweig is here. Okay, Hanover is the biggest city which is close to it. Braunschweig is here, and let's see if I can pull a satellite image of it. Yes, this is Braunschweig. I am currently, let's say, indescriptly somewhere around this region. Okay, and let me see if I can show you TU Braunschweig. Okay. Let me see where I'm. It's very difficult sometimes to figure this thing out, right? It's not that easily done. Let's see if I am at the right place. Here it is. This is TU Braunschweig. Let's see if there's a street view which is available here. Ah, there is. But why is there at night? Oh my God. There's nothing visible here. Let's leave that out. Okay. What's the process of coming to applying for diploma background answers? Answer this. I took complete course studying from German Bharat. If you are a part of the complete course for studying in Germany, I would suggest just write an email to the academy email and we'll get the question sorted out for you. Okay. I'm learning German. Till which proficiency should I learn? Ideally till C2. Ideally, you should learn as much German as you can. Okay, there's no stopping to say that you have to finish only A1, A2, A3, B1, B2. So just do as much as you can, depending on the time which you have. I have done my BTech in Electronics and Communication. Can I still do a Master's in Computer Science? Now, this is a big question that a lot of students have. Can you change streams, right? Generally, it's not possible to do that because universities will look at what your bachelor's is. They will make sure that you have the requirements which they want and only then they will do it. So it's very difficult to do this. But there are some courses which you can do which are interdisciplinary. Data science is one of the ways I think you can go for an electronics background, which will help you to do a different this. Okay. You missed my question, Kowshik. Okay, what is the question? I have done regular PG in data science from Manipal in 2019. Will my master's degree be of 1 year? You mean the master's which you want to apply in Germany? That depends on which university and which course you're applying for. There are master's courses which are for 2 semesters, 3 semesters, and 4 semesters also. So it really depends on that. I'm learning German. Till which proficiency should I learn? I'm planning to do a master's in 2025. It depends on if you want to do a master's in German, right? If you want to do a master's in German, then definitely you need a higher level, B2 at least. Okay. If you want to do it in English, depends on what university you're shortlisting, if they have any German requirements. Will the course equivalent if I'll be going for MS in US? Yes, if you're talking about the GRE course, yes, the GRE course is not built specifically for the students going to Germany. It's just a German course. It's just a GRE course which I have built. That's why I talked about it from the German perspective, but it's definitely something which you can do if you're planning to pursue a master's in the US also. Can you do a master's in computer science? No, you cannot. If you have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering, you cannot. But there's an alternative, which is what I'm doing right now, right? I have a bachelor's in mechanical engineering. I chose to do a computational sciences in engineering course, which is a mix between engineering and computer science. And the electives which I took have led me to the direction of machine learning. Okay. So there are ways to do about it. You cannot directly switch to a different master's. You have to go from these interdisciplinary courses. How difficult is it to learn from German from scratch? Till what level one needs to learn? Okay. Aditya is in the chat. Maybe for Amanveer Singh Vora, you can link the free the PDF which you have for German. So I think he'll get an idea. I would suggest to do that. Okay. Is TU Braunschweig a great university of masters in CS or data science? I recently applied there. Yes, a lot of data science is a relatively new course. It started in October 2021, and every intake there is a data science application which goes out and students come in. And this time for the summer intake also people have come in. And I think the winter course also has already started applications or it has finished applications. As far as I would say the best way to figure this out, right, is to talk to students. Talk to students who are already studying data science. I know there are a lot of Indian students here. You can reach out to them via LinkedIn and you should be able to do that. Okay. Step-by-step research study in Germany. I think Shilpi, your question is already answered. How hard is German compared with English? It's a completely different language. There's no comparison as such. It's a different language. It's like asking how difficult was it for you to learn English when you were in school, right? You never thought about it from that point of view, right? So it's not a good question to ask that way. Can I do masters in computer science in Germany after bachelor's in mechanical? I think I already answered this question multiple times. Please give timeline for preparation as winter deadlines are approaching. Timeline for preparation for what? If you're talking about university application preparations, I think the free PDF will help you out. Basic admission requirements, it will help you out. My bachelor CGPA is 7.5, which is sufficient to get an MS in CS. And 7.5 is not a bad score, but it really depends on what courses you're shortlisting. Okay, if you're shortlisting courses which are highly competitive, it will be difficult. How much CGPA should I target in BTech course to do masters in computer science? As much as you can. There's no minimum requirement. Just do as high as you can. Study and high as you can, right? Let's go up for last 2 minutes. Let's wrap it up. I think we are at another 2 minutes and I will be done. I think one question about GRE here. My score is 327 and my AWA is 3. Is it okay for getting admissions? I would suggest 327 is a very good score. So what I would suggest is maybe you can just shortlist the universities and that will give you an idea of if the 3 requirement is okay or not. I think you should be good in most universities. Okay. Rate the importance of securing English admit in Hochschulers. GRE score, high GPA, German level, high IELTS score, research paper, relevant work experience. There are mandatory requirements which you cannot skip. So if any of these are mandatory requirements in the particular Hochschulers you're applying for, straight away those are important. There's no level of importance for that. Okay. Beyond that, German is always going to help you. High IELTS score is not going to help you at all because it's just a minimum requirement which you have to cross. Beyond that, it's there. Research paper, relevant work experience, always going to help you, but it's something which you cannot change, right? If you already finish your bachelor's there and you have some work experience, doesn't change. Okay. Does a college give good preference to good German proficiency? Yes, it does. My GPA is low. GPA is not great, but I want to boost my chance of admissions. Yes, doing additional things definitely boosts your chances. Okay. Am I making the right decision of pursuing a master's in Germany immediately after my B in India? I'm getting this doubt because some people suggested there's no mandatory requirement. Some universities have that, but no one is an authority to say that you have to do work experience in India before you do that. Okay. Which university are you in and which course are you in? I'm in TU Braunschweig, Technical University of Braunschweig, and I'm studying masters in computational science and engineering. Okay. I think I have time for 2 more questions. If anyone has those, then I'll answer them as well. I'll wrap it up. Okay. Will there be any problem if I don't get up to a decent level in German or placement? For placement, there's nothing called as placement. You have to apply for jobs. If you're applying for jobs which are more competitive, then having a German proficiency does help. Okay. Is it mandatory to complete all semesters in BTech for applying university? Some universities will accept up to 7 semesters, so you can do that. How do I write the best SOP possible? Any short course for SOP writing would be good. We have resources for SOP reviews, so you can take a look at that on the website. Okay. I think that's it. So I'm going to wrap this up. Thank you for entertaining me. This was my first live stream. I hope that I was not boring you. We have crossed the 1 hour limit. I hope I was not boring you. You were able to get some insights from this. So another 30 seconds, we wrap it up unless there's any question which I see which is important. I don't see anything coming up. So again, all the resources are linked in the description. You can always find this out in bharatingermany.com. All the courses and all the details are always listed, always available. So thank you for entertaining me. Thank you for listening to me for the past 1 hour. And I hope you have a good weekend. Thank you.